YouTube? This is Charlie426, and today we have the review of the P-Bandai exclusive, or P-Bandai exclusive, Robot Damashii Gym Cannon African Campaign Type Ver Anime. Now, these are one of those figures slash products that has a really long name, but basically this is the Gym Cannon African colors, if you want to call it that way. So, there was actually originally a normal colored version of the Gym Cannon, which was the mixture of red, white, and black. That was also Bandai, but at the time I was a student and I could not afford for it. But later Bandai has released this and taken pre-orders, and I was able to get it really cheap. And I am really enjoying the figure. So far, if you're wondering if there's going to be any comparisons, I can't really guarantee any comparisons because up to this point we do not really have a modern kit of a HUC or HE gun cannon. The only thing that we come close would be the Bandai exclusive HE Gym Cannon Space Assault type from Origins, but technically these two are not the exact same mold suit. They are technically different mold suit slash variants. So yeah, the only comparison I can actually make would be with the Gym Ver Anime, but at the same time that really doesn't make any sense because they're also very different mold suits. But I will point out any specific differences or something like that. Alright, so as usual, let's go on with the components. So first of all, what you get, of course, is obviously the Gym Cannon. And for those who are wondering, yes, I have pre-ordered the Bandai exclusive Gym Cannon 2 Ver Anime. So yeah, we get the basics. For hand-wise, we get the multi-purpose hands for left and right, and then for the obvious, we get the cannon for the Gym Cannon, which is on the right shoulder. Well, it's not actually on the shoulder; it's technically on the right side of the body. And yeah, we actually get a ammo clip which can be detachable, and the cannon itself is colored in a very beautiful metallic copper color. So yeah, or bronze, whatever you call it. And here we have some of the components. So this thing actually comes with a lot more stuff than I expected. I mean, I've seen the promo pictures, but I believe they didn't really mention a few things. But number one, we get the shield. Pretty much the same shield that we commonly see with the Gym Ver Anime or RX-78, and then on the other side, this comes with the handle on attached. Now, usually there will be at least 2 to 3 methods on attaching the shield. The second method would be which I would prefer, is that you put the ball joint here, and then on the arm there's a hole where you can connect. But this, I've shown this multiple times, and the reason why I'm not going to use this on this review is that I was unlucky because this one seems to be falling off a little bit too easily, so I'm going to be using the handle for this review. And then we have another connector. This is not a shield connector, but this is a connector for the beam spray gun. You can attach it on the inside of the shield, and then you can store in the beam spray gun. That's a pretty good gimmick, or fun gimmick if you ask me. Or you can do it the other way around, or you can flip it to the other side. So really up to your choice. And then, yeah, I'm going to take that away. And then here we have the extra magazines or ammo clips for the cannons, because you can actually take off the ammo clip like this and then reattach it like that. And yeah, and as you can see, they have these holes on the clip, so which means we are also able to store them onto the back skirt armor like this. Yeah, according to the manual, this is the direction that they tell you to store it in. So yeah, I really like those kind of small details. And then once again, we can flip open this section, which they also give you this clip to store the bazooka onto the back skirt. And speaking of bazookas, they actually do give you a bazooka. So I believe this should be the same bazooka that we got as the Gym Ver Anime. Yeah, because this was pure gray. So yeah, pretty good detail and pretty good additional weapon that I was not expecting from this figure. Unless I didn't really watch the promo pictures correctly, but yeah. And then weapon wise, actually I should put it back here. Here we have 2 unique weapons. As far as I know, this is the first time we're actually seeing these 2 weapons in Robot Damashii format. So number one is this machine gun. This machine gun, we can commonly see these with the mold suits such as the Gym Ground Type, Gundam Ground Type, or Gundam EZ8 using this machine gun. Granted, some gyms also did use this, but this is the first time actually seeing this in Robot Damashii format, and it looks pretty good. Now, the handle wasn't too wobbly when I first got this, but this kind of popped out, and then the moment I reattached it, it kind of got a little bit wobbly, but oh well. Really like the detail, and I'm not and this one, yes, the ammo clip also does can be detached as well. Of course, it's kind of on the stiff side, so be careful not to break anything else. And yeah, I really like this weapon. And hopefully we can get, you know, more Robot Damashii figures that uses this weapon. And this is a beam rifle or beam gun. And these were usually seen by being used by Gym 2s or the Nemos and the Gym 3s. So hopefully we get those in Robot Damashii format as well. Definitely enjoying it, and we even got the small detail on the scope. And then hands. Obviously we get hands. So we get, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sets of hands and 1 extra pointing finger. So obviously I showed you guys the multi-purpose hands on the figure that already is attached to the kit, or not kit, I mean figure. So number 1, we get these fully open hands. Number 2, we get these semi-open hands. Number 3, we get these. Now I don't think you're going to be actually using these hands, because as far as I remember, these hands are meant for beam sabers, and the Gym Cannon does not come with beam sabers. I mean, I guess you could also use these to hold the shield, but once again, I believe on the manual, most of the time they tell you to use the multi-purpose hands for the shield handle, so yeah. And then we get these 2, which are trigger fingers for left and right, and then we get 1 pointing finger for the right arm, or right hand. I believe the first original version had this, so I believe this might be just a recolor of the hand, so oh well. And then here's some stuff, once again, I was not expecting. Number 1 was a effect part, because I've seen some people, you know, there's on YouTube, there are some people who like talk about recent announcements and such, and I did check one of those, and then one of the YouTubers that I saw mention was that the African campaign version seems to not come with any effect parts. I guess they were wrong. So they actually do give you a beam effect part, which is, oddly enough, number 1, I mean, it's obvious that this should be going on to the beam spray gun, which also does actually attach, or number 2, the beam rifle or beam gun, like this. But it also tells you that it can also go onto the cannon, so they tell you that you can attach it on in front of the cannon. But keep in mind, the Gym Cannon is not a beam cannon. It's supposed to be like a live ammo cannon, like the gun cannon. So yeah, I do find this a little bit odd, but even the manual does mention this. And number 2, they actually give you a different design barrel for the cannon. So I have built 3 master grade Premium Bandai MG Gym Cannons, and most of them were something like this or similar. It's not exactly the same, but they give you a different, more simple design barrel. So yeah, it's really your choice to choose whichever. And yeah, this also attaches to here as well. Now, finally, they actually give you some sticker decals or something like that. Now, I have read a good amount of manga, but I don't really recall of any specific ace pilots, you know, piloting this specific mobile suit. So, but they do give you numbers. They give you a big 5, 3, 1, 2, 4, 5 to make either 53, 51, 52, 54, 55. They also give you a small one, but in the actual numbers, and then they have these Z symbols. So yeah, I can't really say I know who these numbers belongs to, but yeah, it's a good addition. Alright, now let's get on to the articulation. So let me get rid of these spinning stand and see what we got. So yeah, I mean, being a Ver anime figure, this thing is actually top notch. Of course, there is one part that I'm not really too sure if it's just a problem with mine or it's just like it's just supposed to be like that. So number 1 is the head. They did a very good job on the visor. Definitely love that orange colored visor. And then they did a pretty good job on the antennas, because if you remember, the original Gym head has no antennas, but for the Gym Cannon, I believe they used the same antennas as the gun cannon, or yeah, the design wise. I'm not sure if they're the exact same antennas, but basically the design / format is pretty much similar as the gun cannon. And the head can go up a lot. Of course, technically it should be able to go up a lot more if it weren't for the head design. And then technically it can't really go to the side because it's kind of colliding with the cannon. So I guess that's a little bit on the downside, but it's not really too much of a big deal for me. And then we have the cannon, which is actually on the body, so it can go down that much. So basically, it can face forward, or it can go a little bit onto the down. But this is as far as it can go, and then go up. So, and that's pretty much it. It does not have any side-to-side movement, because the master grade version, if I remember correctly, does have a little bit a little bit of movement that can go left and right, and then goes a little bit lower and then a little bit more higher. But this one seems to be a little bit limited. And now here's this part which I find a little bit odd. So a lot of Robot Damashii figures can move the shoulders forward and backward by moving the chest section right over here. Now because of the cannon, the other side does not move at all. And what I find odd is the cockpit section. This thing does not open, but I can somehow push it in like that, which makes it really odd. Or I can push it a little bit out, and you can see there's like a gap inside there. So that's the main thing that I am not too much a fan of. But I mean, if I'm careful enough, I can always block it off, and yeah, so not a big deal. Now, shoulder articulation wise, as I showed you, you have to move the chest itself to be able to move backward and forward, but the shoulder itself does not move. But you can still go 360 and then go to the side a lot more than I thought. So yeah, we can go a lot. And then we have a 360 twist on the arm itself, double jointed bend going on here, and we have your typical Robot Damashii hands, which the ball joints are on the arm. Same goes for the other arm, so no need to worry about that aspect. And then we have a very nice ab crunch or body movement going on here, so no need to worry. And then 360 twist on the body should... Wait. Now, I think it should be possible if you force it, but it seems like there's something blocking on this section, so we can go about 90 degrees to the side, so yeah. So I guess you just need to be aware of like where to move this thing. So, but yeah. And then we have the front skirt, definitely kind of the front armor is on the chubby side, but still we have the front skirts that can move and side skirt that can also move. Back skirt does not move at all. And revealing this, we have a nice side swivel going on here and can go to the side 90 degrees and then can go forward 90 degrees and then back not so much. And I believe this should also have like one of those systems where you can change the position of the size or connection technically. Okay, and then, okay, bend-wise, we should have a pretty decent bend, and this is possible because on the legs we have the spring gimmick here where you can actually push this in, which doesn't really block anything. So we have a nice bend going on there, and then we have a nice pivot going on here on the feet. And unlike most gyms, we see this thing does not have a toe bend, so yeah. And that's pretty much it for articulation. So before we actually go into any equipment demonstration, let's see some differences with the original gym, because that's the only thing I have at the moment, because as I mentioned, I don't think it's really necessary to compare it with this version. Alright, so let's see what we got. So I can see, like, obviously they did use some assets such as the arms, but they changed the shoulders here. The body seems to be pretty much the same except for the obvious other side. Front skirts are different. The legs, I believe the size are pretty much the same. The lower legs obviously are very different. Feet are obviously very different. And back skirt also pretty different as well, because we have a part where we can actually store the clips, and the backpack is also very different. Of course, the thruster part seems to be pretty similar to the point where, because that means we can actually share the same thruster effect parts onto this figure. And no beam saber as well. If you're wondering if you can take off this section, as far as I know, you can't. But it does seem like this thing does look like a separate piece, so maybe it's glued on or something. Alright. And for those who are wondering what's the difference between the Space Assault type, is that this one is only used in space, so it's much more lighter, and then we have more thrusters on the leg and a more traditional leg design for the lower leg as well. Anyway, that's pretty much it for the articulation and comparison. I'll be right back with the equipment. Okay, I'm back. So basically for this one we're going with the basic as a start. So on the back skirt I gave it the bazooka. On the cannon, I decided to give it the more simple design of the barrel, just to show you guys how it looks like while it's on the cannon. And then I gave the beam spray gun with the beam effect part and the shield. So yeah, one thing I did not mention while explaining the bazooka holder is that if you actually have the bazooka on the back skirt, you cannot store the extra or leftover ammo clips onto the back skirt. So yeah, this is actually more of a choice, I guess. And as I mentioned, actually I should just get rid of this at this point. You can, for some reason, even the manual mentions that you can you can put the effect part onto the cannon if you want to do so. So yeah, as I mentioned, this is kind of odd because this is not a beam weapon. Was never a beam weapon, or it was. I don't think there was even a variant that had a beam cannon. So because the only like gym cannon that actually had a beam cannon on its back would be the gym cannon 2 or maybe the gun cannon 2. But yeah, this is really odd. All right, so I'll be right back with the second set of equipment. Okay, here we have another set of equipment. More technically, this is something I just wanted to mention. Regarding the bazooka, I would kind of suggest that you hold the bazooka with the left hand. Now, currently I'm using it on the right hand just to give you guys an idea why. It's because since, okay, despite the cannon is not on the shoulder, it's still on the body, which is pretty close to the shoulder. And if you actually use you can technically hold the bazooka onto the shoulder. Oh, I forgot to take that out, but still, the back of the bazooka is going to collide with the cannon, which can actually affect posing or can limit your options. So I guess if possible, I guess another option would be that, I'm not sure if this is possible, I'm actually doing this for the first time, is that you would have to hold it like this, like the way how the Hyakushiki style, but still. So yeah, if you're going to hold it onto the shoulder, I would suggest that you do it onto the left arm. Alright, so that was pretty much what I just wanted to mention, and now I'll be right back with the actual equipment this time. Okay, here we have the last set of equipment. Basically, I gave it the machine gun, beam rifle on each hand, and then finally on the back skirt I attached the extra ammo clips, and on the cannon that's on the body / shoulder, I gave it the barrel that I'm more used to. So yeah, I'm just doing this pose, which was actually on the box, or kind of something similar on it. I don't know, I really like this pose for some reason. So yeah, I mean, despite how bulky or chunky the legs look, it is able to do a more natural kneeling pose without having any, problems or balance issues. Other than these poses on the box, it does mention that we are able to do like a double hand pose with the gun. Of course, the second hand that's holding the second handle isn't really a closed one. It's just the semi-open hand to give it the illusion that it's holding the second handle. And that's pretty much it for the review. So anybody who's like a big fan of the gyms, and then if you missed your chance for the gym cannon, this is a really good second opportunity to get it, and you won't regret it because it basically is the original gym cannon but in different colors with more equipment. So I say this is much more of a more winner if you ask me. Anyway, thank you for watching the review. This was the review of the P-Bandai exclusive Robot Damashii Gym Cannon African campaign type for anime. If you guys got any questions or requests, leave a comment below. I still have more stuff to buy and build and make reviews out, so please stay tuned. Until then, see you guys next time.